aka King Chi, and I am back with another tool for your toolkit. Today is Mind Your Mind Reliability Part 6, and we are going to get into this shortly. I'll wait for you all to sign on in before I get started. Welcome, welcome. All right, all right. All right. As you tune in, peace. What's going on, Tamika? What's going on, Rob with 2 B's? What up? Peace, Shantanae. Peace, Black Rose. As y'all tune in, like and share this video. Thumbs up and share this video. What up, so? Thank you, Angie. Yeah, I was like, I wanted a bright pink hat. So I said thank you, so for my bright pink hat. Makes me feel like a fairy elf. What's up, what's up, what's up? Alright, y'all. When you have your notebooks ready, let me know. Put some ones in the chat. Hashtag mind your mind. Hashtag mind your mind. Yeah, I'm really a pink person actually. I like hot pink. I like bright colors all year long. So they're very soothing. It's a very healing color. I know often they talk about green with the heart, but pink is actually a very healing color for the heart. Alright, so see some ones in the chat. We're ready to get it in. So we're in part 6 of Mind Your Mind. Alright? And for part 6, we're going to discuss reliability. Mind Your Mind is a whole system of principles that's going to help you to achieve your goals. Alright? Today I just want to discuss with you the meaning behind reliability and how it's going to serve you on your journey to elevation, making progress with your own self-development, personally, in your businesses, in your health, in your well-being, in your relationships. Alright? I'm going to do this by giving you 4 points of references that you can adjust and review and reflect on for yourself to determine your level of reliability. Okay? 4 points of reference for you to review. First of all, when we think of reliability, the first thing that should come to mind is how someone can depend on you. How can you depend on someone else? What are some of the characteristics of an individual that you can rely on? Okay? And what are some of the comforts in having that characteristic? Whether it's you having that characteristic, people will let you know why they value it so much. And if it's other people, why you value it so much. What's most important for your work is that you are able to identify if you've been reliable. Now, I know for a fact that we're not always so reliable to the things that we have committed to for ourselves. And oftentimes, those closest to us, we can find there are areas where we're not so reliable with them either. But if you can't be reliable to yourself, then you don't have any business being reliable to other people. All right? Let's get into this. Number one, the biggest area for where reliability kind of goes out the window is when we are not properly managing our commitments. So number one, review and reflect on how you manage your commitments. Some of the ways to manage your commitments will be for you to, one, stop saying yes all the time. Stop saying yes all the time, not just because you want to exercise your right to say no, but stop saying yes so quickly. Okay? Write this down. When you manage your commitments appropriately, you will take your time before you give a yes and before you give a no to any commitment that you add to your plate. The only way that you can know whether your yes or your no is going to be clean and reliable is if you are aware of your own personal availability. I will repeat that. The only way that you can be sure that you're giving someone an official yes or an official no, because both are just as important to your level of reliability. And I'll give you an example of that, okay? But in order for you to have a clean yes or a no, you need to be aware of what your availability really is. When you feel like you want to be a superhero all the time, you add more things to your plate that require more hours than you actually have in a day. And then you find yourself with good intent in your heart to be a reliable individual, but then you're not able to live up to your commitments. So what's going to be reflected upon your character is that you're not reliable, no matter how good your intent is, no matter how huge your heart is. At the end of the day, if you cannot keep your commitment because you were not aware of your own availability, it's going to stain you. You follow? Why is a clean yes and a clean no just as important for reliability? For instance, as a parent, if you tell your children that if they do A, B, and C, that they're going to get D, okay? It's a yes. They can go to the mall with their friends. And they do A, B, and C, but you haven't managed your availability. So now when it's time to go to the mall, you can't drive them to the mall because you're too busy. They're going to lose respect for you because your yes, they can't rely on it. And so next time you'd like to negotiate with them, which is a good thing. We should learn and teach our children how to negotiate their wants, their desires, and their needs. They should already be learning how to negotiate so that they can get what they want. You should not teach your children to accept no's all the time. You should teach them to become articulate enough in explaining to you and others why it is that there is something that they desire, they should have it. That's how you build up their communication skills. Okay? So they'll lose respect for you, and the next time you want them to do A, B, and C because they want to do D, they will lose motivation knowing that they can't rely on you coming through. Okay? The other side of it. For those of you who are having trouble setting boundaries, I can continue with the parenting because parenting teaches us a whole lot. All right? But let's say you're at work and you give a no. No, I won't be able to stay until 6. I'm off at 5 and I have other commitments. You say, no, I won't be able to stay until 6. But then 5 o'clock comes, you're still there, and you stay until 6 anyway. Now when you try to fight back with your bosses and go to HR and your higher ups, they can say that you said you wouldn't be there, but you continue to stay until that time anyway. And so they no longer respect the boundaries that you're trying to set on your time. And your no does not match your actions. It's not reliable. Okay? So whether your yes or your no is there, it needs to be clear and you need to follow through with it so that people can learn to respect your time, your availability, and value it. All right? When someone presents something to you, and we're still in number 1, managing your commitments. When someone presents to you some commitment for you to agree to, all right? One of the red flags for giving an answer in the moment is if you feel pressure. If you feel pressure in the moment, you need to let that joint breathe. Let it breathe. Most situations and scenarios where someone is asking you to commit to something does not require that you give an answer immediately. And when you feel pressured to give an answer immediately, that's one of the sure times that you should just automatically say, give me a day or two to think about that. Okay? Because you want to avoid answers like maybe. You want to avoid saying yes to the whole thing when you really mean yes to 5 out of 7 of those things. And so finally, with managing your commitments, understand that you have the power to design your yes and to customize your no. So yes, I can stay until 6 to work on project A, but I will not be working on project B. And next week, I will be taking off an hour earlier to make up for the hour that I stayed later. You're saying yes to a commitment that was presented to you, but now you're customizing it in such a way that you respect your other commitments. You don't overcommit to other areas that are going to stress you out, which are going to lead to you having more anxiety, more distaste for what you're doing. You're going to lose momentum, and you're going to have a harder time finishing. Okay? So that's just number 1, managing your commitments. Y'all got all of that? Is this helpful so far? Really highlight letting it breathe. If you feel pressure, let it breathe. Okay? Number 2. Y'all are still on your Mercury mantra discipline. Communicate. Y'all are not done until tomorrow. Okay? Communicate. Communicate as soon as possible. Communicate as clear as possible. Everyone that we communicate with feels a sense of importance. Everyone. The babies feel important when we communicate with them. Adults feel important when we communicate with them. Elders feel important when we communicate with them. Our pets feel important when we communicate with them. Communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. So you're in a jam. And this is all about being a reliable individual. So you're in a jam. You made a commitment. You said, I'm going to do this. and you realize that you're running late. Okay? The moment you realize you are potentially going to be late, not like, oh, I might be late, but if I step on the gas, I might just get there in time. Stop living under that kind of pressure. And stop psychically creating that kind of pressure for the person who's waiting for you on the other side. As soon as you realize that there may possibly be a change, a shift in your ability to meet that commitment, call, text, send a kite, let the person know, I may actually be about 5 minutes late. I may get there on time, but I just want to give you a heads up that some things have come up. Even better, if you can reach out to someone who can back you up and hold space before you get there or you reach the commitment, do that as well. Because even if you show up late that time around, the person who is waiting for you on the other side is going to have a sense of feeling valued and respected for their own time and for them working with you, knowing that whatever scenario you're in, that you're going to communicate and they don't have to guess. So it's not like the time is going to come and they're going to get used to feeling nervous about, oh man, are they going to show up? Oh, they're always late. You don't want to create that kind of relationship with you and anybody else along the way to your goals. And the reason why we're starting to talk about other people and how we want them to relate to us at this juncture in the principles towards reaching your goals is because in order for you to reach a lot of your goals, you're going to have to at some point start building up a team, start building up a network and connecting with people that you can rely on for areas that you yourself are not particularly a genius in. But if you're not reliable, then you're going to attract more individuals along the way to your success that are unreliable too. So catch that. That was number 2. Communicate. You want to become a reliable person? Communicate. Communicate and be honest about where you are with the commitment. Number 3. All right? You want to start and finish. Start and finish. You want to start strong. You want to finish strong. Okay? What that will also entail is doing the right thing. And just to keep it real with you, doing the right thing rarely is the convenient thing to do. Who can attest to that? Doing the right thing is rarely a matter of convenience. But if you want to be a reliable person for yourself and others at all times, then know that doing the right thing is not necessarily convenient. But that's when you know that you're putting that principle of discipline into action, right? Being centered and training yourself to rise above your excuses. So in part 3, you want to train yourself to rise above your excuses. One of the things that I challenged myself with to become a better parent was my commitment to my daughter's gymnastics practice. Okay? And this whole thing around commitments for the children became a real a real thing for me, like a real space of interest for me when I came back from Malaysia, because I really was empowered around being a goddess, being the mother of the universe in an empowering way and not a martyr type of way. And what that meant for me was that no aspects of my parenting with my children are a burden. There's an excitement to me rising to the occasion to make sure that I instill in them what is important. I keep people around them that can instill things in them that I may not particularly have. But for one thing, I really want them to know that I'm just as committed to them getting to the places that they need to be, doing the activities that they need to have to make them well-rounded, as I say to them I am, by showing up. So on occasions where I would get frustrated about, okay, if my child has to get to a gymnastics class, and because I'm an entrepreneur and I have clients at a certain time, and her father is also an entrepreneur, and we may overbook something, right? I've learned now to know that missing class is not an option. So if something happens, the first thing I have to think of is a way to fix it, is a way to get around it, is a way to get through. Not just settle for, well, it's not convenient for anyone right now. No, because when I made the commitment to my child that this is something that they needed to do, it wasn't going to be about convenience. And the best way for me to teach it is to show them that no matter what's going on, I'm going to utilize all of my tools in order to make it happen. All right? And thankfully, on one occasion, my daughter needed to get to class. I had a client, her dad had a client, and my son was in the middle of doing his homework, right? Because they're home from school. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to ask my son to take a lift with his sister, bring her to gymnastics, and then I'm going to have him come right back home. And by the time I finish, then I'll go get her, right? Now, it may seem like a simple thing, but during that process, I did all that and I worked out the situation in front of my children. I had the conversations in front of them to let them know, okay, this is what we're going to do as a team. This is how we're going to help each other out. This is how we're going to make sure we meet our commitments. And I acknowledged, here we go, the respect for people's time. I acknowledged to my son, who thought he was going to sit at the gymnasium, right, and wait on his sister. One, I had to remind him that his time was very valuable to me and his studies was very important to me. And I was only going to ask him to sacrifice 20 minutes to drop her off and to come right back. And that I would not ask him to relinquish his rights to sit and do his homework for the entire time just because I needed to make an adjustment as a parent. So I instilled in him teamwork. I instilled in him that I respect him. I instilled in my daughter that her commitment to her athleticism is that important. And to both of them that we love each other and we want to see each other win. That's us as a team rising above the excuses and still showing love to each other and respect for each other's craft, respect for each other's academia, respect for each other's extracurricular activities, and again, repeating, rising above the excuses, because that's what breeds excellence. All right? Finally, I want you to look at this last part where you're going to fine tune and really, really, really reflect on being good on your word. Because what this comes down to, all of these areas where you're looking at, is how good can you be on your word? It's a lost code of ethics. People say whatever, you know, they just give information, they claim certain things, they make promises, they break them. Being good on your word is not just a matter of making commitments and sticking to them, but it's also about giving reliable information that is true. True, and you can stand by it. Because if you become a person that is good at storytelling and people realize that what's coming out of your mouth is BS, you can keep your promises and your commitments, but no one's going to believe what's coming out of your mouth. And no one's going to want to really listen to you when you feel like you really have something to say. Okay? So you don't want to be misleading. And you want to tell the truth with your body language, your gestures, and what it is that you're going to be a part of. People in powerful places, they want reliable people on their team. People in need want reliable sources. So if you become a reliable person, you'll align yourself with reliable people, and you will continue to build a network for success of reliable individuals. I know this was a lot of information, all about reliability, but it will serve you well to take some time and look at some of the areas where you yourself are being flaky, where you're not fully aware of what your availabilities are, okay? Where you don't allow yourself time to breathe and actually look at your calendar before you commit to something. And where you may not know the answers, you haven't done your due diligence. So you need to stop saying that you know something that you don't really know. Okay? Being reliable, doing the right thing is not always convenient. Okay? So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and this discussion. I will take a moment to just scroll right through here and see if you have any questions. Shantanae said she was overextending herself, trying to push herself to make certain things happen. The only time you want to feel like you're pushing yourself to make something happen is if you made a clear commitment to the yes. It wasn't pressure when you said yes, but you are trying to rise above excuses. Now, if it's anything other than that, then you made the wrong commitment, and you should communicate as soon as possible. Absolutely. The very last point was being good on your word. What kinds of promises do you often break? And I'm asking you to practice keeping commitments to yourself, even if it's one small commitment at a time, and being straightforward with your truth telling with others, whether it's information you're sharing, or what your availabilities are, or what your skills are. What can you come through with? Okay? That's for you, Master Key. Hope that answers your question. All right. Any further questions? Okay, I'll let y'all go. Peace. Love and bliss, my darlings. I'll catch up with y'all.